so tough. Melody Belle, she's too good. They all had a shot at her.
Stars can't quite get her, Melody Belle. That's 5 Group 1s this season, and another one for you know who, the bloke on top.
I will be there for you. Hey, child.
But here she comes, Melody Belle. Melody Belle wins it. Wow, she's back. She is brilliant this week, girls. But have a look at the doubling of New Zealand turf, and Melody Belle does the double. And she is going to be dancing to her destiny. Melody Belle wins the first ever Triple Crown.
Here comes the Kiwi star. Melody Belle up to Aristia. Melody Belle takes Aristia. What a body mare, a mighty mare. Melody Belle has won it.
We were born wild. Let your neon lights keep shining bright. Oh, oh.
Gee, we've had a terrific time of late in the last 2 weeks out of Australia. Of course, we've seen a win to Te Akau Shark and Probabile, and then the Bostonian last week as well. But our best here in New Zealand, 10-time Group 1 winner in Melody Belle lines up second up in the All-Star Mile on Saturday with $5 million out of Caulfield. A warm welcome into what is the first call brought to you by Kamata Park, and a big weekend domestically. Yes, of course, the Albasti Equiworld New Zealand Oaks with Jennifer Eccles, the short price favourite, and a really strong undercard of racing there out of Trentham. Of course, the eyes will be on Australia once again, and Probabile too, out of Sydney. Joining us here in the studio is Jason Tarn and Bevan Sweeney. And Jason, first of all, what a day to look forward to. I think we've said this a lot in recent times about the Saturdays. It just rolls on top of each other, big race after big race. But boy, this is going to be a big one on Saturday with Melody Belle going for $5 million.
Yeah, hi Brendan, hi Sweens, hi everyone. Look, it was hot a couple of weeks ago and it stays hot, and I anticipate with the All-Star Mile and then looking forward to Sydney as well, the Australian heat is going to remain with our tax on their big prize money. $5 million, and Melody Belle is the second favourite behind Alligator Blood. And going by reports that we'll no doubt get another update very soon from Aidan Rodley about, she is as good as she needs to be competitive in that race. Not at Flemington, but at Caulfield this year, which adds a different dimension to it. But I'm also looking forward to Oaks Day at Trentham. Sweens, there's some really high quality thoroughbreds down there, notwithstanding the favourite for the Oaks itself.
Yeah, evening gents, so great to be joining the A-team here on the first call on a Thursday evening. Yeah, Oaks Day is really looking as it's going to step up to the mark in comparison to the last couple of weeks we've had out of Ellerslie. We've had Jennifer Eccles really being a benchmark amongst the fillies, and they've had some really exciting horses, but she's just continued to develop. Remember, she's been up since the first day at Hawke's Bay, and she hasn't left a note, and she's physically developed. She doesn't look a classic filly to me, physically, but she keeps on sort of putting the doubters to rest every time you ask her a question. Like, she's got a draw against her, she's got a big field, she's got some very good fillies against her this Saturday, but who's to say she can't do it?
You make a really good point about how long she's been up for. I've been up only since 6 a.m. and I'm struggling, whereas she's been up for like months. So it's been a real tribute to Sean Ritchie and the team to have her peaking, and she will be peaking for the Albasti Equiworld New Zealand Oaks. But Brendan, it was pretty special watching the 2 days out of Ellerslie that you brought the coverage of, with our Facebook Live going as well. Like the quality of performances that we saw there with, I suppose you could say it was all won by farmers, the 3 Group 1s. David Ellis, who was a renowned farmer in Te Akau, and also Roger that.
Yeah, wow.
I'm not sure he's shorn too many sheep of late.
Maybe not of late, but Anthony Fuller with the sheep shearing. But, he does have a head of cattle, does DC.
Sure,
but yeah, the 3 farmers winning the Auckland Cup, the Bone Crusher and also the Sistema.
Yeah, what a story that was, wasn't it, with Roger that taking out the feature race. And it was just, I suppose it was good to see that the little guy can actually snare a big prize.
And it also showed me, as analysts, we can get it wrong, because you go into a meeting like that and you see Roger that, who brings 4 minds that you think, well, I'm not sure it's good enough to win the race. Well, it's at 3 wide the triple most and beat some smart horses. So, yeah, that was one for the little battler. And it was a different angle on a day where Te Akau was dominant again. So a little person can still pick up a big race for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Speaking of a little person, look, I think we've got to throw a little bit at Aidan because he's in Melbourne and we're not. So a very good evening to you, Aidan. Now, how's things going there?
Yeah, pretty good. I expect you boys to be chipping away. After all, I do get these lovely trips, and you guys are just there. I've got to go to this cocktail function and drink the free grog and eat the canapes. So, yeah, I can understand why you're having a little chip. But, no, it's pretty exciting here. We're here at the Port Melbourne Yacht Club, of all places, where they are having the official welcome for the All-Star Mile. In the back, it is 29 degrees, people all over the beach down here, and it is a gorgeous setting. And, of course, it is all about our girl Melody Belle going into the race. I'm going to step to my left because we have a special guest with us, Jamie Richards, who has today been announced has moved up to equal 6th in the world on the global trainer ranks with TRC. Jamie, though, all the focus now is on Melody Belle. You've flown in from Sydney today after being at Matamata yesterday. You had a chance to go and see her and assess her condition?
Yeah, went down and saw her this afternoon, and she looks in good order, and yeah, Dad's done a great job with her. Weight's good, eating well and fit and healthy, and taking good improvement from that first up run.
One thing about your dad, he's been with her, and they're telling us 7 hours a day. You know, you do form an attachment, and you do get to monitor every little change in her, don't you, that way?
Yeah, he loves it. He'd rather be with the horses than be at home. So it's good when he's away travelling them, and he's a good man to have in the team, both here and at home.
Yeah, what's his reports been, especially about today's gallop? We saw her on the poly track doing 3/4, although she seemed to be going pretty quickly for her.
Yeah, she would usually work on the grass, but firm enough, so just on the poly today, 3/4 sneak up the straight a little bit. But Dad was really pleased with her, and she's in a really good space, and took good confidence from Opie's feedback on Tuesday, and watching that gallop. Doesn't often say a lot, so when he starts talking like that, you've got to be very happy.
Absolutely, and I think he was mainly taking a line through the work companion who had sort of had Melody Belle working pretty hard before the futurity, but the tables were turned on Tuesday. Yeah, and that sort of shows that she's gone forward, and as you say, sort of Melody Belle was on the other horses outside and chasing hard and under a little bit of pressure to hold her spot 3 weeks ago, but today or Tuesday travelled well and looked great. So that was really exciting. We're very pleased with her. It's obscene money, isn't it? Obscene, $5 million.
Yeah, it's good to be part of it. It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's great to have a horse good enough to bring over here and fly the flag for New Zealand, and we certainly take great pride in that. Yeah,
pretty exciting. What about in Sydney? Probabeel Tiako Shark. Probabeel goes around this weekend in the far lap. How's she?
Yeah, she's great. Really happy with her as well. Seems to be in a really good space at the moment, and if anything, has held where she was when she won the Surround, if not, improved a little bit more, 5 weeks between runs. So she's in good shape. We'd just like to see that track improve a little bit. Fun Star's a wonderful filly and is adept on soft ground. So she's good. And Tiako Shark, he took a few days to bounce through his run, but looked good doing a bit of 3/4 this morning as well, and we'll up his work a bit Saturday, Tuesday, and into the George Ryder Saturday week.
Yeah, really looking forward to that as well. Just tell us why the far lap over the Coolmore.
Just under the conditions of the race, and the Coolmore being a Fillies and Mares handicap rather than a weight for age Fillies and Mares race, she was just badly weighted. She was probably 3 kilos outside of weight for age, and it's not a race that 3-year-old fillies have got a great record in. I think the last winner was Typhoon Tracy in 2009. So we just wanted to be sensible. We've got plenty of time to contest races like that in the coming years.
Okay, Wally, the boys back in the studio will talk about Australia very shortly. They're going to begin talking about Trentham, where you do have a strong hand, especially in that Wellington Guineas with 3, and also Tiako Caliburn going around in the St Ledger. Just tell us your assessment of the Trentham horses.
Yeah, I think Tiako Caliburn's going really well. His work was good leading into Matamata and hasn't changed leading into Wellington. He was just undone by the wet ground at Matamata. So take him on trust a little bit. I think he can turn his form around. And the 3 fillies we've got in the Wellington Guineas are all going very well. Lilakoi and Star Bombay are both stakes winners and have been set for this race. Exaltation's on the way up, but she's got a lovely pedigree, and she's a half-sister to the champion that we've got over here. So 3 very exciting fillies.
Geez, that'd be some sort of double, wouldn't it? A Wellington Guineas with the little sister and the All-Star Mile with the big gun.
It would be, and formed a great friendship with Marie Leslie sister who bred both of the fillies, and be really rewarding for her as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk shortly. I'll let you get back inside and enjoy the hospitality from the Melbourne Racing Club and the All-Star Mile team. We'll get back to you guys with a little bit more talk about the All-Star Mile, but as you can hear from Jamie, everything in pretty good heart with Melody Belle, and we're really excited about seeing her here in Melbourne on Saturday.
Aidan, you've delivered some amazing pictures at the beach with Melody Belle. You're obviously on the beach now. Any truth to the rumour that you have picked up a sponsorship for the bottom half of your abnormally shaped body?
Talking about bottom halves, actually, Jason, actually over our cameraman Danny's shoulder. No, we're not going to go any further there. But Jamie, there are some sights around this beach.
Yeah, I missed them earlier on, but you said there was a couple of sights to be seen. But
maybe we'll just move on from that. But the beach was really good, boys.
New Zealand, I suppose, we're technically after 8 o'clock, the first screening, but Friday and Saturday morning's not ideal, Brendan.
All right, thank you, Aidan and Jamie there out of Melbourne. But all great information from Jamie Richards, boy, who's on the go at the moment. Was talking a bit Matamata yesterday, and he's already been to Sydney, and he's now in Melbourne, getting ready for a good evening there, leading towards the All-Star Mile. But also back here and on the show via Facebook Live, you've got a great opportunity with our TFC Best Bets competition. Yes, $1,400 is up for grabs and bonus bets now. So this is, well, each week, once it's gone beyond 1,000, we keep saying this is a pot worth chasing. So $1,400. Now there is 4 best bets this weekend, because Aidan has provided one as well, and with Bevan on the show as well. So you have to try and outrun us with your best bet over the weekend, and see if you can, if we all 4 strike, well, you're going to have to find something in probably $12 plus, but if we don't get one and you can find one over the weekend, you've got a big chance of winning $1,400 in bonus bets. So get your entries in before the end of the show, and we'll announce that winner. Okay, let's move on now and have a look at the Group 1 out of Trentham on Saturday. And this is the New Zealand Oaks, the Albasti Equiworld Dubai New Zealand Oaks, over 2,400 metres, where the favourite is Jennifer Eccles. Without a doubt, she is the benchmark with what we've seen from her in this season of 2019 and 2020. So $1.95, there's been some really strong hard money for this horse at the $2.10, hence why she's under the $2 mark. $8.54 Loire, the 1,000 guineas winner. Communique at $9, the Sunline Vase winner, who's really catapulted her way into the reckoning for this race, with A, with how she won that race at Ellerslie, and also B, with her barrier draw, considering where she's drawn, where others haven't fared well in the barrier. Bevan, you've provided some speed maps throughout the evening. How did you see the Oaks unfolding early?
Well, the easiest thing I found to do about the speed map was where Jennifer Eccles lands, and that'll be more than likely last. I thought that the Pike team would put 7 Seas into the race to try and get Loire some cover forward. That might be difficult from her gate if she does push forward to find a spot. I've had Bergamot in the trail. Nothing compares going forward. Look, I thought Communique and Carolina would both get nice runs in the race, as would Bergamot. They were the most confidence things I had in the speed map. Bergamot, Carolina, Communique. Where Loire ends up, not sure. Jennifer Eccles definitely at the back of the field in my mind. And 7 Seas, I think, will put some speed into this year's Oaks.
Okay, well, that's an interesting map. And the favourite with barrier at number 19, as Bevan pointed out, will no doubt be ridden very quietly early to be able to try and overcome that barrier draw. But as we said, she is the benchmark filly, and it is with challenge number 10 Syndication, and of course trained by Sean Ritchie.
You held my hand into the darkness. I didn't care. It made me just want you more. My God, your love, it seems so harmless.
Yeah, don't worry about the cameras. Just obviously concentrate on her. Number 1, let's get Trotter off. Like when you start off, the hardest part of that track is from the on gap to around the top there, because it didn't get watered properly. So trotter off to halfway down the back, then get over a neck, and then pick it up from just start 3/4 just before the on gap. she was so dominant in the last couple of races, we're likely to get away with it. There's a laundry list of great fillies over the years that have run the Oaks trip out and never been able to run the mile and a half again. There's been no indication of any fatigue. In fact, even watching her work this morning, of course, she seems as as confident and as competitive as ever. It's always in the back of your mind, the first instinct that there's something not quite right. She leaves a little bit of feed, or she shows any signs of not being happy, then I'll ring Adrian straight away. We'll have a talk about that, and the campaign will cease. But at this point, probably a last win was the best one.
And Jennifer Eccles put 3 or 4 lengths on them here. From Loire, Showbiel battles on and then unlaced, but have a look at this brilliant little filly go. And down to the line, Jennifer Eccles will win the Lowland and win it with a leg in the air. Brilliant performance.
I doubt I've had any horse, put in a performance quite like that. They just can't race that aggressively. It appeared that Jason was struggling to hold her throughout the race and then finish it off, let alone sprint away from 2 quality fillies. How great is it when you get 60 people in the birdcage singing a song like that, and it just adds atmosphere to the races, which has been sadly lacking for a while. A lot of people, of course, watch horse racing on TV, but to get bums on the seats at the races, great for the clubs, terrific for us, and you just have to enjoy it. I really feel that she could go out and do the same thing as she did in the Lowland Stakes, or there's that little inkling in the back of your mind when you watch a horse like Dragon Leap, who's a classy horse with a good turn of foot, such as Jennifer Eccles, just find that last 200 in a mile and a half a struggle. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't think it will, but that's a chance too. So she's not the sort of filly who's going to go out there and fade away and run no good. So she's going to be competitive. We've probably got, as we have all the way through, perhaps the filly with the best turn of foot in the race. Hopefully she can save herself to use that.
A great piece with Sean Ritchie out of Cambridge on early Tuesday morning, and he makes some great points there, Jason, doesn't he? Because that obvious point that he talks about, the 2,400 metres, and we go to the Dragon Leap sort of situation with what happened a couple of weeks ago. She was strong in that race early, wasn't she, in the Lowland Stakes, and as you pointed out, Bevan, as well, on that occasion, but she's got that acceleration, doesn't she, to be able to put them away at the same time.
That's what genuinely makes that barrier draw a tricky position. So I'm sure that Jason Waddell will be really conscious to try and get her to relax as early as possible in the race, and that's why she's likely to be back close to where Bevan has mapped her, whether she goes as far back as the rail or whether she's able to get 2 off or 1 off with cover, depending on sort of the horses around her. But the key will be settling, because she was really keen into that first bend in the Lowland, wasn't she? Bumping Craig Grills out of the way and getting into that 1 off position from the rail. But from the 800 and just creeped a little bit closer, Jason, and then at this point, wow, she was brilliant. So she's probably put 2 lengths in about 50 metres on Blois, and has probably peaked at about 5 lengths, and then he hasn't really had to do much, Jason Waddell. Like he's kind of just hands and heels and sat up. So it's that point in the race from the 300 to the 250 or the 225 that she's just put it to bed. It's an extraordinary run.
It was.
It's interesting to me that she put them away that quickly. I think probably since we saw her on that first day at Hawke's Bay, you thought, gee, she's got a scintillating turn of foot, because the first day at the Hawke's Bay, she got there very quickly, and then just got beaten by a couple of other more seasoned sort of fillies. But she's continued on with that turn of foot. She's probably got a match of Travelling Light as a turn of foot. But look, I've just got niggles again. I'm probably trying to find something in this race that's not actually there in front of me, because she's just been so dominant.
Well,
but it's just got that feeling
though?
of Dragon Leap. It's got that To Illicit. Sherwood Forest was running home like Loire was before going into the Derby. I mean, To Illicit raced on the same day, Jace, and was probably just as dominant in her race as Jennifer Eccles on this occasion. So it's a balancing act. I mean, we don't need to be here. Sean Ritchie summed it all up in his video, all the factors that are relevant towards her performing on Saturday. But look, she is brilliant. She is brilliant, and she might be brilliant at 2,400 metres. He mentioned it as a 3-year-old filly, they can get 2,400 metres and then never really come back. But
10 years ago, we won the race with Keep the Peace, and so he does know. But I suppose the situation is, look, when you're wanting to back or take $2, or now she's odds on, you want to see, well, what are the knocks on it? And the differences in the 2 videos that we've seen is that the field is more than twice as big. So, and she's drawn the outside. So she got the suck run at Te Rapa, did no work, was beautifully ridden and produced by Waddell. And then at Hawke's Bay, you know, there was still a small field. She could find the spot that Waddell wanted to put her in, and then she came into the race as easy as you like. So she's going to have 10 horses more than what she lined up against at Hawke's Bay. That's a lot of traffic when you're drawn the outside and you're not drawn to just take a smug, like a soft run midfield. So that's significant. That's the biggest knock. But, you know, it's really hard as a, you know, an analyst to be going against her on anything other than a bit of spec, really.
Correct.
And that's what you've got to factor in. How much is bad luck worth in her price?
I think the one thing that gives me a bit more confidence around Jennifer Eccles than Dragon Leap and To Illicit is that she's had the 10 race starts. She's been up since Hawke's Bay. She's a lot more seasoned. She's developed nicely through the whole campaign, thickened up body-wise. She's become more filled out. She's not big. You're not looking at a massive mare. You're looking at a quite a fine sort of filly, but she's just kept on taking those steps.
Yeah.
So she's maybe just that little bit further on than the Dragon Leaps and To Illicits of this world to be seasoned for an Oaks trip. So, look, she could go whoosh. She really could go whoosh on Saturday if things go her way for sure.
Yeah, that's a key point Jason Waddell's mentioned to me a couple of times as well now that he's been aboard her, is that she just seems to be getting better. She's getting to a preparation where she gets getting better run on run, despite her having her first run this preparation in September. Let's have a look at the biggest danger coming into this race. And let's be honest, pre-Sunline Vase, I'm sure we all would have said that the key races, the Lowland, with how Jennifer Eccles won a few days before this race. But now that the way things have transpired with barrier draws and how this horse has gone through the line, Communique, and has the breeding to at least see 2,400 metres, she becomes a factor in the race now, Bevan.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a lot between the two Woodridge fillies here. Communique was ridden to the outside clear passage where Carolina had to change ground on 2 or 3 occasions. I thought Megan was also quite good to the inside, probably in the worst of the ground, so I don't think there was a lot across the 3 of them. In this sort of instance, I'm going to take the sort of the advice of the trainer who suggests that the 2,400 metres around a Communique is a no-doubter. Carolino, he's got a few question marks in his mind whether the 2,400 metres would suit, albeit he has said that the work from Carolino since has been outstanding. I mean, you're probably the person to talk about Communique because you were the one that was highly onto the horse at Ellerslie on that occasion.
Yeah, and purely from a staying perspective, I mean, just going through her family, she's a horse that will just relish anything further than 2,000 metres, and that was the first time we'd been able to see her, you know, get up to, well, she was up to 2,100 metres to start prior to that, and she's really attacked the line, and really as well, Jason, with how she's won there. Michael Walker rode her like she was the best horse in the race, and he's come back with positive vibes post that as well.
Yeah, supremely confident ride, wasn't it? Like settling well back and just making that long sweeping run, and she's the runner that you definitely want out of that race. I've felt throughout the 3-year-old fillies races, particularly once they've gotten, you know, over 2,000 metres, that clearly there was Jennifer Eccles, and then maybe, I wasn't sure about Loire, but to me, Loire deserves to be second behind her, and then Showbiel is not far behind either, and then I had Communique. Well, maybe Communique has jumped, and as the market says she's right, you know, amongst Loire and also Showbiel. But, you know, before that performance, I would have had her and that bunch of fillies quite separated from those top 3 who I thought ordered themselves. Yes. So it's interesting. The market is... She's got a sense of timing, doesn't she?
She does. Yeah. Okay, bets.
Jennifer Eccles is my on-top selection. I'm going to see if we can cut a deal with Thaddeus Taylor later on. So we can sort of wind something together there with Jennifer Eccles. But yeah, she's clearly on top. She's the horse to beat.
Yep.
She's on top for me, but I'm going to take a little bit of value in the market. I think Loire's racing like a stayer now. That turn of foot that we saw at Ricken's, it's not quite there, but she's reminding me of Sherwood Forester Fraction. So I'm going to put a little bit on her, and I agree that Communique is coming into the race in the right vein of form going forward to maybe have a little bit each way on. So I put 10 units on Loire and Communique, but Jennifer Eccles is the benchmark that they have to beat, overcoming draws, etc., etc. Bergamot, I think, probably has dropped down a couple of rungs on the performance at Ellerslie, just a little bit weak through the line. I know it was into the race sort of at the 800, but you wouldn't be really confident that it's going to run out 24 on that.
Yeah, paying top 4 as well, the bookmakers. So there's an opportunity here, and look, horses like 7C, Zip It, Sweetie.
Well, I mean, I think last week you were a great proponent of usage of that top 4 with that couple of multis that you threw out that involved horses to top 3, now top 4, given the listed and group sort of scenario that they run with that promotion. So yeah, definite good opportunities. Just before we move on, I received a text that might be able to set us up for a little bit of a golden shears scenario. I understand that David Ellis has shorn thousands of sheep in his lifetime. That's the text that I've received.
I said in recent times. Recent
no, that's
times.
correct. So, and Anthony Fuller, I don't think he's probably done much recently either, with a bit more of a focus on thoroughbreds. Maybe we could get something going there, like the sort of the Group 1 golden shears.
I can tell you, I saw one about 6 months ago, and I damn near had to call the ambulance.
Well, that's 3. So we've got 3. So we've got Bevan Sweeney with David Ellis and Anthony Fuller. We've got a shearing competition there.
And I was exhausted too. The sweat coming off me after one. No, let's not do that.
No,
let's not do that. Let's not do that. It's
trying to tee something
terrible
up, Jason.
bad idea.
The triple shearing Group 1 from last year.
All right, we'll leave the golden shears here in the studio, and we'll take a break. And as we do take that break, we look back on some historic winners from the New Zealand Oaks.
But with 100 metres to go, it's a one-horse affair, and Princess Cope's going to straight him in the Oaks. Have a look at her, a brilliant winner. Got him by nearly 6 lengths. Keep the peace in front. Zarsweiler flying with November rain. Keep the peace hanging on. Yeah, win the Oaks. Bonneval on the outside. Devise is giving it everything, but the Clover filly, Bonneval in front, and she'll win the Oaks. Bonneval's got it. It is Savvy Cope in front. On the inside, Contessa Vanessa is trying to come back at her, and then Milshorn, but Savvy Cope, she reigns supreme again. She'll win the Oaks and win it brilliantly.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Don't be pipped at the post with TAB's bonus bag. Place a fixed odds win bet through your account on selected races and get up to $30 back as a bonus bet if your pick comes second, third or fourth. TAB's bonus bag. Now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Welcome back. Don't forget to get your bets in as well if you're watching via Facebook Live tonight, and your best bet for the weekend. And you can be challenging for possibility of winning $1,400 in bonus bets. Okay, we're going to have a look at our next race out of Trent. It will be race number 6, which is the Wellington Guineas. This is how the market is at the moment. Call sign Mav 950, got back into winning form. Lightning Jack, who's won a couple of Guineas races, of course, the Gore and Southland Guineas at $12. $2.50 for Levante, $3.80 for Star of Bombay, who's been this early market mover. Bellamente at $9.50, $8.50 for Lillicoy, and then you're starting to get into the double figures. Exaltation at $16, who was huge when winning, and Our Alley Cat is 26s into $21. Bevan, talk to me about how you framed your map here for this one.
Well, I thought Our Alley Cat was the obvious leader. One of the Richards runners, Lillicoy, more than likely goes up and sits outside. That'll give Exaltation the run, and then you've just got a line Gold Bracelet. Star of Bombay finds a great spot. I think they'll be back with Call Sign Mab after its last start. That gives Levante Call Sign's back, and he should bring Levante into this race. Do like this Lightning Jack course. Whether it can come across the top of this field as it's been doing is a question mark, but I think that just suggests that Levante is going to get a nice drag into the race on the back of a horse who's obviously going quite well.
Yeah, Levante is clearly a runner that gets back and running and loves to really sprint best at the end of her races. And the bigger, roomier track looks to be ideal, like we saw here a couple of starts ago, Jason, when she sat back at Te Araha.
Oh, she was brilliant. They ran 1:22.69, which is a half-second fast in the rating 82s on the day. And she's released on a part of the track that it wasn't actually that easy to make ground on either. So, you know, I'm maybe initially a bit slow on the uptake with this horse. It's taken me 3 of her starts, and this is the one that really made me sit up and take notice. Not that the other 2 were much inferior, but this one she's really done it on the clock. And then she went to Matamata on an unsuitable track, and she didn't seem massively comfortable, but she trotted up again. We've spoken about Jennifer Eccles and the turn of foot that she has. We've also spoken about, you mentioned you compared Jennifer with Travelling Light. Well, this filly here is not much inferior to those at all. I think up to 1,400 metres a mile. She's an outstanding proposition, I think. She just needs a genuine tempo, and maybe that market move reflects the map and the fact that Star of Bombay is like to have that tactical edge, maybe sitting in the 1-1, right on speed and getting 2 or 3 lengths advantage from the 600. Because this performance here was a very solid performance in its own right.
It was a good ride this day. That was a big advantage. Heartbeat to Levante. Just reminded me a little bit of Catalyst in the action when I let go. There was a little bit of flattening out and just that crouch down. This horse has gone really honestly to the line. There's a will to win here. You can see the neck stretching, the ears pinning back. There's some fair old horses having a look at it out wide, and it held nicely. If I look at those 2 runs, I go Levante's better. I don't think there's any doubt about that. 2 lengths in the run makes it interesting, but there's a will to win here on this horse, and it was a nice effort on a nice run. And it's mapping to get a very similar sort of trip.
Jamie describes as being really tough swings.
That's what it shows.
And in addition to that, I don't think it was the smoothest 2 weeks leading into this race. There are a couple of little niggles that they had to try and overcome, and so the performance to win, whilst it didn't surprise the team, it just underscored how good she is. So she's going to strip a much better filly out of this race, Star of Bombay. And
hence why the market supports
exactly, yeah. And I think she deserves to be #1 seed, and you're seeing that sort of money. But look, I don't mind Lilakoi as a filly. I've had a lot of time for her in the past, and I quite like the little mini freshen up in the trial. So I don't think there's a heck of a lot between them in ultimate ability, and maybe Exaltation could go the furthest of them all.
Yeah, I agree.
What a win this was.
This.
Are you kidding me?
Wow, I had it as my best bet on the day, and I thought, at this point I'm going.
Well, you started the car up.
Yeah.
You started the car up.
I'm almost driving home.
Just waiting for Tony Lee to jump in and away you go.
Because the first time going quite nice, I think, can't get up this horse. It's the quality of Opie. I think only Opie gets this horse up on the line. He sort of got it into the clear, and then it really flattened down underneath him. There has been a physical issue with this horse, and I'm not sure whether it's joint or in the wind, so they've had to back off after that first up performance down in the South Island. There was a lot of improvement in this filly, looking at it at Hawke's Bay. I found a place for it in my 4. Chris Johnson's on it. I wonder which one Opie would have gone for if he had the choice of the Jamie Richards runner.
Well, I understand. I understand that Opie was, if he had the choice, which obviously he does. I think he suggested he'd lean towards Exaltation, and that's not to cause any sort of offence to the owners of the other horses at all. But that was just sort of a general question about what he's got out of them. But he's really happy with Star of Bombay's work, Lilacoy's work as well. So they're all 3 horses going into it. But I think they'll be flat out holding out Levante, who is going to have to probably come from behind at least 2 of the 3, and maybe all 3 of them.
2.4, was that generous of the bookmakers?
It's out to 2.5 as well.
Wow, I thought it was going to start shorter. I really did.
I think you might find that there will be a strong a flood of support late for Levante. It's just as soon as the market gets a sense of how the race will be run, as long as it's genuinely run, then I think they'll be happy to really unload. There's another horse that I wanted, Bellamonte out of that. Yeah. She was okay, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't too bad behind Sarah. I mean, she does that a lot, and she has done that a lot throughout her 3-year-old career. She's been just in amongst them in some really good races, including the 1,000 Guineas. She wasn't far behind.
5th. I think Sarton, good run. Yeah, Group 1 place last season in the Sires. So How do we go about having a bet here? I think Exaltation's maybe the one that could be the over in the race anyway at a bigger price, but which way are you going, Jason?
I'm going with Levante on top, and the scenario that I'm going to prop to Thaddeus Taylor offline is to see if he can give us a little cheeky double between Levante into Jennifer Eccles to win the Oaks.
Oh, yeah, we a chance there or what? Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, 1,000,000 to 1's a chance, right? Hopefully we're a better chance than that.
You should put your money on that they're a chance.
It just depends on the price.
Well, I think Levante wins the race myself. If I was having a spec, I'd go Exaltation. They only gave me 100, so I'm not having a bet on the race, but I think Levante is going places for sure.
Why don't you inject some of your own in there? Double it up. 100 plus swings.
Let's move on. Let's have a look at the cuddle now. This is race number 5, where we see Yearn, 380, Cinerama, who's been back from $3.50 to $3.20. VCC really liked how the horse has got home the last couple of starts at $8. And Zaza Gabor's been a drifter from 10s out to $12. He got beyond the fort in the race. He ran second in the Oaks last season. You've also got GCG in there at around $16, and you've got last year's Oaks winner as well. And Sentimental Miss at $18. Let's have a look at the map here, Bevan. This one, the Group 3 Fillies and Mares over 1600.
Well, I thought Tinkalicious gets this really soft. I saw no speed really in this race. GCG may go up and stay outside. Sentimental Miss. I'm not even sure it can hold the trail.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm not sure it could hold the trail. So there was a question mark there, which either gives you in the 1-1 or the trail on a soft tempo.
With GCG could trail Tinkalicious?
Yep, definitely. Like, you could swap those around and Sentimental Miss pushes back one. That'll put Cinerama further back and VCC even further back. Thought Secret Lure would get a nice enough sort of slot in the race. My overall impression was won't be run quick unless something at the back 4 or 5 of these horses decides to make a bit of a difference in the run.
Okay.
There's just nothing there to it though, is there?
No.
There just seems like there's no pressure at all.
So does that mean you're leaning towards something that can be camping himself just off tempo?
But personally, yeah. No, personally, Yearn is the horse that really interests me. But look, there's some decent support for Cinerama, and you get the feeling that this is the race that she's peaking for, right?
Well, I mean, as you know, Bevan, and you've spoken to Alan a lot, I mean, he's got a lot of time for her heading towards next preparation, and he certainly spoke about that post-race to you after this one.
Yeah, I think this was the target, this particular race, and she looked amazing when she walked in this day. It was one of those moments, I need to unload here, this filly is going to win. But there's some really good efforts in behind, isn't there? VCC chasing home, is that Vichy out wide as well? Look, she's got a very good turn of foot where she gets through the runs difficult. I want to watch that first race at Trentham before I actually get confident in betting, because last time I was there, if you weren't in the first few, you were absolutely no chance. So she's a possibility to being full back the rail. She can still win them from there because she's got an outstanding turn of foot. She's had a trial post the win at Tauhara Nikau. So where she's at this preparation, I'm not sure, but there wouldn't be a lot left unless, is she a chance of the Tiara?
Well, that's there. That might.
You'd have to think a win, and this
would be putting her there. So that's maybe the plan for Alan. He's spoken about here in Black Dot Turns for a long period of time. So, it was a nice quality Warripa Breeders. I think there's a couple of good horses in here that'll test her though.
Yeah, well, Group 1 quality at the top, Jason, with Yearn, who was placed in a Thorndon Mile only a couple of starts ago.
Well, her form has been impeccable without necessarily winning in the last 4 starts. She won 5 starts ago, but as you mentioned, she's been right there amongst our best performed weight for age horses of the season outside of those that have announced, over in Australia, your Melody Belle and Tiako Shark scenario. But of those horses that have stayed here, she has been in those key races that have involved them. And I just expect that she hasn't been jumping really sharply, but you just think that Danielle Johnson's MO, modus operandi, is to get her out, muster her, and to get her sitting as close as she can to the front and travelling if possible. If she can get there travelling happily, like she often does, then she's certainly the one to beat. I just get I wonder whether Cinerama won't be that far away in the running, just because of what sort of maps around her. So maybe she will be tagging her back or looking to do that, in which case it'll be a good race.
It will be a great race. I'm completely with Jason around Yearn. It just fits my eye for Yearn. The trip she's going to get, where she's been, this preparation, she's been against the best. She is the best performed in this race, and she's giving Cinerama 1.5 kilos. I mean, she's the one in the race for me. If there was going to be one at a bit more value, I thought that VCC, I'd expect to run a race today on Saturday in that particular race from that draw. Doesn't muster a lot of speed.
Looks like it needs 2,000 metres, but
but it can
get into the line.
Horse. It can get home, but there's probably not enough speed in this race to see it really get into it late.
Okay, all right. Bets, have you guys covered up some bets here? Is it all about you, and is it for you guys?
I'm having a little spec against the market. It's a pretty dangerous thing to do, but I'm going to go Yearn, just a 10 unit win on Yearn. A lot of respect on Cinerama, and I'm going to use Jessie G as a part of a little multi-play for her to finish in the top 4. I thought at $4 the place, she just gets, like in poker terms, the nuts. She gets the run of the race. I think she probably trails Tinkerlicious. And from that point, she has to be a huge chance to finish in the first 4. I would have thought Jessie G. She's been running really well.
Okay, Bevan?
I'm not having a bet in the race. Yearn is my best. Cinerama's quality. And if I was going to go outside the square, I'd put in probably the 12 VCC as a first 4 place.
Yeah, that looks like around that $8 mark. You certainly could entertain it going each way on the late horse VCC. Let's move on to the Lightning over the 1,200 metres, and we see a market looking like this with Weka Force at $3.40. You've got Enzo's Lad, as we know, enjoys Trentham at $5.50. Sensite $7.50, and Santa Catarina is at a quote of $7. You've got Shadows Cast in the race, who hasn't run over 1,200 metres for nearly 18 months, is at a quote of $12. And then you've got Mr. Universe, who is at $10. Reg Soir, drawn barrier number 1 for Stephen Ortridge, is at $12. All right, what happens here early doors, Bevan?
Well, Weka Force leads. That was a definite. Reg Soir has got early speed, so I thought it might get its back. And then, having watched Enzo's Lad at Trentham over the last few years, why not push forward, sit outside the lead and say, catch me if you can? This seems to be his place.
Yep.
His form doesn't seem to stand up wherever else he goes, albeit he's racing, or has raced in such strong grade, but why not? I think Jay Waddell will push forward, sit outside Weka Force, look Weka Force in the eye, and that could be the winning of the race.
Well, let's go to Weka Force first of all before we talk more about Enzo's Lad. And this is the effort, Jason, we last presented, straight to the front and scoots away to win by 4.5.
She's been amazing on occasions, hasn't she? When she is in that rhythm and is able to roll with Lisa Rawpress, and I know that Kylie Williams has done it as well, but when between Lisa and Kylie they've got this horse in a rhythm, she's looked unbeatable over sort of sprint trips against the company that she's been racing. She comes in off the bottom, comes in off the minimum, so I just expect it's jump and run, get her in that high cruising speed rhythm, and if that rail is hot like it often is, you know, has Ferrando run well in this race before, like a horse like that?
Yes.
Anyway,
he was
like,
placed in it last year.
Yeah,
anyway.
well, that sort of horse that just rolls along and is hard to catch. So, yeah, she's on top for me.
Okay, well, Enzo's Lad, or you?
Well, I just keep on thinking about all the times I've said he can't win at Trentham, and he's sort of come back in the bird cage and look out the corner of his eye at me in the IV area, because he just keeps on running at this place.
Yeah.
And his form's similar to every time he comes to Trentham. He's not in a Group 1. He's only carrying 58, which is not a big impost for a horse his size. He's against horses that, if they were in a Telegraph, would you say they could win? I'd probably say Weka Force, Santa Catarina would take a place in a race like that. Mr. Universe going nicely enough, Senso. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with him at 5.50 at the place he just loves.
Yep. What about you, Jason?
I'm going to have Weka Force on top, and I'll probably sit at home on Saturday and come close to the race start time, have a little place bet on Shadows Cast. I like him over 12 and 14. I know he hasn't been tried over 1200 for a long, long time, but I think he's got a lot of speed in his old legs still. So
the only thing that worries me about Shadows Cast, Jace, is with Holly, he'll be carrying a lot of lead in the saddle. If you know what I mean, it's dead weight.
My word, I wake up. I know exactly what you mean.
You know, dead weight on a horse is not great.
Yeah.
Live weight, 61 kilos. I agree, he's a wonderful old horse. He probably can.
He's a brilliant horse. Yeah. He just hasn't won over 1,200 metres or raced over that distance for quite some time, but Mark Olligan is a terrific trainer, as we know. Let's move on to the St. Leger. We'll quickly cover this race off, Bevan. Glory Days, $3.60. Tiako Caliburn, $7 for a runner who didn't like Matamata last start, but that was due to the track conditions in the Kai Mine. $4.40 for Sergeant Blast, who's taken some money.
I'm blown away that Tiako Caliburn's at $7. Look, I can only go off what I saw at Awapuni's. We bring up the speed map for you. I think Lisa's going to use Sergeant Blast again. She'll let something come around and take the lead if something wants to come across. Swing note. Samson could go forward again. Tom's the back. Commander Lincoln, Hank and Dance Card will be back at the tail of the field. I think Te Akau Kellyburn just smokes his pipe in midfield. Look, I don't think I've been as impressed with the horse the first time I've seen as I was with Te Akau Kellyburn. He looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger at Palmerston North, and he was at a short trip. I was just so impressed. Look, Matamata, before the reins, I was very keen to have a look at him financially. Because of the ground, I said no. But if Jamie sort of suggests he can turn his form around, 2,600 metres is right in his sweet spot.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
I just had a vision of Bevan Sweeney's teenage bedroom with a big poster of Arnold Schwarzenegger doing the pose and Sweeney with his little cans of spaghetti.
So you're obviously having a bet then, Te Akau Kellyburn, that's the one you like?
Yeah, I want 30 on Te Akau Kellyburn. I think he will probably end up back in Australia, I think, with time. I think he'll get back there. So I'll put 30 of my units on Te Akau Kellyburn from that gate. Just suits me fine.
Well, on Australian debut, he ran alongside King of Lear Grants when he put in that slasher at Flemington. And I know that the team has said that he worked well leading into Matamata, didn't perform, but he's worked well out of that. And so they put it down to the track, which probably raced more like a heavy. So I'd be keen to have a little play on him. And also Sergeant Blast, I think, gets a great run in the race.
Yep.
Look, Glory Days, I have a lot of respect for, and Samson with the blinkers on as well. So this is a really interesting tactical race, the Lincoln Farm St Leger.
Yep, all right, well, let's look at the feature racing there out of Trentham. What a bumper day it's going to be. And of course, Bevan will be on track as well on that Saturday afternoon. We're going to take another break, and on the other side, we're going to rejoin Aidan Rodley.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Don't be pipped at the post with TAB's bonus bag. Place a fixed odds win bet through your account on selected races and get up to $30 back as a bonus bet if your pick comes second, third or fourth. TAB's bonus bag. Now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
At the 300, Lure Remain Hawkshot, grabbed by Elise and Mystic Journey. Elise on the outside, Mystic Journey a neck away, and Lure Remain's going with them, a grandstand finish. Mystic Journey over the top takes the lead. She is what dreams are made of. Mystic Journey's won the All-Star Mile, elected a quarter.
Mystic Journey last year in the All-Star Mile. What will we see in the 2020 edition? Well, here is the market for you, where we do see Alligator Blood $2.60 out to $2.80, and there's been that flood of money for Melody Belle, $4.80, now $4.60. You've got Colding at $10, Fierce Impact is $9.50 out to $10. This is how the market shapes up at 6:45 for the All-Star Mile race number 7. We've still got Aidan Rodley standing by, and I'm sure the excitement is building towards what is going to be a terrific race coming up on the weekend, Aidan.
Yeah, such an exciting prospect, isn't it, Melody Belle, in this All-Star Mile? And Jamie, you've drawn barrier 5. Dad drew that earlier in the week. I guess you couldn't have been too much happier with that. And it does give OP options. Have you maybe formulated a bit of a plan?
Haven't looked into it too much just yet, just waiting on a few speed maps and stuff to come back tomorrow. But look, there's a bit of speed outside of him. I'm sure there's something that's probably going to kick up inside him. So, you know, if we're one out, 4th or 5th, it'd be perfect.
Okay, with her, we've spoken about her condition and her being into this really nicely. There is a prospect of a bit of rain tomorrow. How much does that sort of affect her chances?
Brings her into it even more, we think. She's adept on wet ground, and it might just slow some of these Aussie ones down a bit. So, look, it's bright and sunny here at the moment, but be good to get a little bit of rain tomorrow.
Absolutely. Temperatures are really meant to plummet from the 28th that we're at the moment, but you've had a chance to have a look over some of the rivals, and I guess you have had for some time. It is an all-star field, as the name might suggest, but that Alligator Blood, he does look like a real star.
He's the one to beat. He's probably the best 3-year-old that we've seen in quite some time here. He's been beaten once by a Whisker, otherwise he's unbeaten. And his form's terrific. Like, he beat Catalyst fair and square. Came out in the Australian Guineas, run them ragged. He just seems to be a warrior that they can't find the bottom of.
Yeah, okay. Outside that, have you sort of looked into the form and found another horse that you think might be the upsetter?
Well, there's bits and pieces there, and looking at a few of the form guys do their form, they think that the Storm Alley, is it Storm?
Yeah, Fierce Storm, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Super
like
Storm,
him.
the West
Super
Australian.
Yes, they like him.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a little bit of respect around that, the racing.com boys, and haven't really looked at it too much more than that, to be fair.
Okay, well, we've got my bank bets coming up, and I've put together a few for the boys, and I know they'll be looking forward to hearing these as well. I'm going to give you $30 of mine. Obviously, you've got some key contenders down at Trentham, but I need you to make some profit for me. Who are you going to go for?
Let's stick with Melody Belle. She's going really well, and she's going to have to be at her very best, but we're happy with her condition, and she'll give it 100%.
Absolutely, and a nice price too. You know, your Alligator Blood's taking a bit of that money, so you might be able to get me over the $100 threshold for the week with that.
Absolutely, happy to help you, because I'd say you need a bit.
Yeah, there you go. You've watched the show too many times, boys. I will take you through my back bets as we let Jamie get back to the party. At Trentham in the first, really keen on Stars Are again for Murray Baker. Race 7 in the Lightning Stakes, really happy with the Wicker Force. Terrific trial winner by 6 lengths last week after that really good win down south last time out. We're going to Caulfield as well. Race 5, horse 2 Odeon, 5 over 10 there. Yeah, Melody Belle with Jamie Richards giving us that. So we've got 30 units on her. And to race 8, where I'm going to go my best bet. Craig Williams gave me the good oil at Caulfield on Tuesday with Admiral's Joker. So 20 units a win on Admiral's Joker, who is my best of the weekend. You've heard from Jamie, he's gone back to the party. Danny, my cameraman, and I, we've been working very hard, so we deserve a beer as well. We're going to jump back in there. Best of luck with your bank bets, boys. And of course, I haven't had a chance to gloat too much for last week's winning, but there it is.
There's what? No.
It's a song like that.
Yeah, well done, Aidan. I think you got to double up the finish.
Well, the race to 1,000 units, the unit himself somehow plucked it with a nice each way lob and a double and whatnot.
It had to be won by double.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, but he won it genuinely, I think, with Avantage. But I thought it was the lighting there, but they seemed a lot more red 35 minutes after the first time that they came to camera. Not sure why that would be, but enjoy your first day, didn't you?
Yeah. Nice work, Aidan, there out of Melbourne. Well, before we link in with Thad Taylor, let's just go back and have a look at how things panned out last week.
Te Akau to win, but 2 Group 1s there. Cool as a Beal to win the Sistema into either Avantage or Pre-Defer to win the New Zealand Stakes, the Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes. So it's Cool as a Beal into either Avantage or Pre-Defer. $6.50 till 5 p.m. Friday afternoon.
Cool as a Beal took over at the 200, led by 2, coming after it, Bernazza, out wide is Snapper and running on also Kelly Renee, but it's Cool as a Beal. Bernazza's trying hard, but they won't get those famous colours again. Cool as a Beal won the Group 1. But thank you, linesman, thank you, boys. It is Avantage to win the Bone Crusher.
Well, Thad, how about that as we bring you in and say a very good evening. The First Call special rolls home once again. We're looking for 3 in a row.
Oh, unbelievable, BP. I'm having tangerine nightmares at the moment. I'm getting Opie Bosson in my dreams, Jamie Richards in my nightmares, and it's all tangerine of Te Akau, and they are absolutely flying. And Avantage, look, I didn't even see that move coming. I think started around $2.40 in our final field book. I think when we spoke to you last Thursday was at $4.50 when we put that special up for Cool as a Beal into either Avantage or Pre-Defer. And boy, oh boy, you got some value at $6.
Yeah, certainly, Thad. Some great value there around the Tangerine Dream, you could say, from last weekend. We better look ahead towards this weekend. We do have the feature race, of course, that being the Albasti World New Zealand Oaks. Just how are things shaped around, especially the favourite in the race, and Jennifer Eccles?
Yeah, look, interesting, BP. I suppose the most interesting thing about it, and you boys would have touched on it, is the barrier draws for the favourites, and that's Jennifer Eccles out there in 19. Loire, I think, has got 15, and Showbill out there in around 10 or 12. So the favourites have drawn out wide, and it's that lowland form versus that sunline form, Communique and Bergamot up against Jennifer Eccles and Loire Showbill. So look, she's been the benchmark all year, Jennifer Eccles, and we probably put a little bit too much stock in her barrier draw of 19 early days. She opened at $2.10 odds against already, with some nice hard money early, and I know Jason likes that hard money, into $1.95 Jennifer Eccles to win this year's Oaks. So she's been the benchmark. Customers certainly don't think the barrier draw is going to be too much of a problem. She's taking all the early money. Zip It Sweetie, an interesting runner out there at $23. Will get some money for the Southern filly, I'd say. But yeah, I'd say they come the jump, BP, and I say this often, but if anything beats Jennifer Eccles, we'll be in clover here.
Such a feature day there out of Trentham, Thad. Let's talk about a couple of other races, the Lightning and also the Cuddle.
Yeah, both very interesting. We've got a couple of Southerners heading the Lightning, and a Weka Force versus Enzo's Lad. Look, Enzo's Lad, we know his feats at Trentham very, very well indeed. And his second in the Telegraph this year against obviously Avantage, very, very impressive. But the early money is with Weka Force, currently trading at 3.4, but they really do dominate that market. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And in the Cuddle, they've got a bit of a youth versus experience again here with a Cinerama versus Yearn. Yearn obviously third in a Thorndon Mile, but Cinerama certainly in the up-and-coming mare. They want to be with her early. She's already been $3.50 into $3.20. So she could be another well-backed favourite that may salute in that Cuddle Cinerama.
Well, it could be a good day for the favourite punters as well. So just what else is happening throughout the card there at Trentham?
You've certainly touched on it, BP. We're a bit nervous here in Petone. I can see multi-punters licking their lips around a few here. Levante and the Wellington Guineas going for 5 from 5. He looks a real talent on the rise. You've got Coventina Bay at around 2.2 in the rating 82, 1400 metres. She's going for 4 in a row, or going for 5 in a row as well, I think. Stars are. He causes all sorts of headaches on Derby Day. He kicks it off in race 1, and he'll love the wide open spaces of Trentham, you'd suggest. And Evil Opalescence and Glory Days are both under the $4 mark in their respective races, the 2-year-old race and obviously the St Ledger. So we're a bit nervous already, BP. I just don't know where these multi-bets are going to end up. But if these favourites start rolling in, we could be in a bit of strife.
We all can't wait for the All-Star Mile out of Caulfield as well, Thad. So just how much interest has there been around Melody Belle?
Oh, a lot, BP. A lot would be an understatement. Look, and they got the perfect barrier draw there in barrier number 5. Alligator Blood out there in 10. So they have compressed in this market since certainly since futures closed on around Tuesday night. And Melody Belle now currently 4.6. I think it was $6 before the close. I think Alligator Blood as short as $2.40. He's now out to around $2.70, $2.80 in this market. So draws the perfect marble. Opie Bosson, Tiakau again, and look, all the money will be with her to win the All-Star Mile on Saturday at Caulfield.
Well, it's time now for everyone's favourite part of the show, Thad. It is the First Call Special.
It should be after the last couple of weeks, BP, I can assure you. Going for 3 in a row in the First Call Special. Levante into Jennifer Eccles, going to a straight win double here. Levante, a very, very well-backed commodity in the Wellington Guineas. Jennifer Eccles, as I said, already $2.10 into $1.95 to win this year's Oaks. So the current multi stands at around $4.80, $5.50 for our loyal viewers until 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And I'll make sure I open the option, BP, this time so you can get on tonight.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Thad. Yeah, there was a little glitch last week, but yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening there, Thad Taylor out of Petone. So $5.50.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
It's
some famous phrase from some movie. But anyway, no, I thought that's really good. A good little boost to the double there. Do I have to give the bank bets? Just couldn't quite run down Aidan Rodley last week, which was really disappointing. But yeah, well
just
done,
missed
Aidan,
out.
for getting there first. This is how things look for my bets this week. And don't give up day job. This is the day job. Don't get fired from your day job. Race 1, number 6, She's Not Easy. Race 2, 8, Aromatic. Race 7, Hypnos. They're all plays. Aromatic will be my best if she lines up. Jamie Richards is still not 100% because there's a nice race midweek next week for Aromatic, but she looks ready to win. Trentham Tiaco Caliburn, 5 units on that. Sergeant Blast 10, Yearn 10, races 3 and 5 at Trentham. A 15-unit Trentham place multi, any 2 or 3 with Sergeant Blast to place as the banker with Jessie G and Exaltation in races 5 and 6. Very much Brendan Popple inspired that after you filled up at Ellerslie with your 2 multis, and $15, 15 units on the TFC special at 5.5.
Very good, Bevan.
A movie that mentions likey. Oh, God, that was a stitch was up. I'm going to have some with Tiaco Caliburn at race number 3. Coventina Bay is a good horse, but that is a strong 82. Credit Manager's not far off Coventina Bay, but bit of quality. I'll back Loire and Communique with the units on this, but like I do like Jennifer Eccles. Fiano freshened up, quite a smart filly, and I'm going to just multi up stars Coventina Bay and Levante for 10 units.
All right, I'm going to go to Tauranga first of all. Race 3, number 6, Acutus, 10 units on that horse. Bob and Jenny Vance horse. I'm going to go with Monaco, another chance, race number 4. I'm starting to run out of units, but I'll give you 10 more Monaco in race number 4. Popstar Princess, big chance of just jumping straight to the front there around Tauranga, 15 units on that horse. I'm getting lukewarm on Cinerama after what I've just heard in the last 20 minutes around this horse, but I'll put 25 units on it all the same in race number 5. Levante, I'm really keen on in race 6, 15 units on that horse. And Communique, 5 over 20, keen to play that big unit for the place because of that top 4 possibility payout around Communique with the expectation of her running out the trip, no problem at all. Best bets, gentlemen?
I've gone for Aromatic at Tauranga. It looks like
Aidan
is gone with the lead there. He's pulled some heat, hasn't he? Craig Williams, Jamie Richards to contribute to his bank bets there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, bit of Caulfield match. I've gone with Cinerama as actually as my best for the weekend out of Trentham. What
Coventina Bay, like from the start, I thought it was exceptional at New Plymouth. Trial was brilliant just the other day, albeit Credit Manager was in there as well. It went to Peach in the same trial, and they were hard held as well. But I think Coventina Bay will end up in some serious company in the next preparation rather.
Okay then, all right. We have time now to announce our Facebook Live winner as well, and it is Kelly Smith, up for $1,400 in bonus bets. Melody Belle, best bet for the weekend. How about that? Cash me outside there. Kelly Smith with $1,500, with $1,400 possibly coming your way if Melody Belle can pick up the victory in the All-Star Mile and can outrun us here with our best bets. All the best, Kelly. Let's hope you can snare the big prize. That's us. Thanks, Bevan, for coming in and joining us. And
I'll be back next week if Melody Belle wins because A-Rod will just explode.
Well, he won't be back, will he?
No, he won't. A-Rod will never seen again.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, thanks, Jason, as always. Thanks, team at Kamara Park as well. That's your first call.
I got money in the bank. I got news for you, baby.